Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly VOC news, where we bring you the latest and the most significant news around Chinland this past week. My name is Elvin, and here are tonight's news headlines. The Myanmar military junta launched a midnight airstrike on Jindui town in Phalam Township, southern Chinland, killing 6 civilians and seriously injured 11. The Zomi Revolution Army Executive Committee, ZRAEC, an armed group allied with the Myanmar military junta, has executed a young local man from Tuitang village, Didim Township. A married woman who had returned to Phalam town after fleeing the fighting was threatened at gunpoint and assaulted in an attempted raid by a Myanmar military junta soldier. These are among the stories from Chinland we'll be covering this week. Myanmar military junta airstrike kills 6 civilians in Jindui, southern Chinland. The Myanmar military junta carried out a midnight airstrike on Jindui town in Phalam Township, southern Chinland, a town under the control of Chin revolutionary forces, without any ground combat taking place. The Phalam Township Humanitarian Affairs Department reported the attack this evening. The airstrike killed 6 civilians and seriously injured 11, though further details have not been disclosed. This morning around 8 a.m. on June 20th, the Myanmar military junta also bombed an area in eastern Phalam town with 8 bombs, followed by another airstrike with 8 more bombs around noon. The Phalam Township Humanitarian Affairs Department has urged residents to remain alert to the threat of airstrikes and to take shelter in bunkers when aircraft are heard overhead. On April 29th, an earlier Myanmar military junta airstrike on Jindui town killed 8 civilians, 1 woman, and 7 men, and injured 3 others. The Myanmar military junta has deployed approximately 2,000 troops in an offensive operations across Phalam and Minda townships in southern Chinland, while continuing daily intensive airstrikes in the region. Fighting rages in Tantlang, Chinland for 10 consecutive days. CDF Tantlang reports heavy junta casualties. CDF Tantlang reports that continuous fighting has occurred in Tantlang town from June 10th to 19th, resulting in numerous casualties on the Myanmar military junta's side. CDF Tantlang issued an update on the situation in Tantlang on the night of June 19th. According to CDF Tantlang, around 400 Myanmar military junta troops deported Hakka in 4 vehicles on June 4th, heading toward Tantlang. They blockaded the road between Hakka and Tantlang for a week, during which intense fighting occurred. The Myanmar military junta column then entered Tantlang town on the evening of June 19th, and daily clashes have continued from June 10th through the 19th. During the fighting, the Myanmar military junta reportedly used heavy weaponry, suicide drones, and tear gas. The Chin National Army CNA and CDF Tantlang Joint Forces say they are doing everything possible to firmly defend their positions. In the fighting, the Myanmar military junta suffered casualties, including deaths and injuries, and 5 of their suicide drones were shot down. The Chin Revolutionary Joint Forces reported no casualties on their side. CDF Tantlang says they will continue to block the Myanmar military junta from withdrawing from Tantlang town while working to protect the civilian population. ZRAEC, allied with the Myanmar military junta, executes young local man in Didim Township. The Zomi Revolution Army Executive Committee, ZRAEC, an armed group allied with the Myanmar military junta, has reportedly arrested and executed a local young man from Tuitang village, Didim Township. ZRAEC announced on June 14 that it has arrested Kapdian Meng of Tuitang village and sentenced him to death, the harshest possible punishment, in connection with the June 9th killing of ZRAEC member Bao Ngaitmang. According to ZRAEC, Bao Ngaitmang, a national worker for the group, was ambushed and killed while traveling back from Tonzang village to Saudang village in Didim Township in June 9th. ZRAEC claims the killing was carried out by the Zomi National Army ZNA a faction that had split from ZRAEC. In the course of investigating those linked to ZNA, ZRAEC arrested Gap Lian Meng, the son of Pa Jinzekup from Tuitang village, and sentenced him to death, the group stated. ZRAEC said in its statement that it is acting in accordance with its policy that only one armed group should operate in Zomi inhabited area. The Zomi National Army ZNA is a newly formed armed group that split from ZRAEC established on April 7th, 2026. ZNA denied possibility for the killing of Bao Ngaimang in a statement issued on June 14th, the same day as ZRAEC's announcement. ZRAEC is a group allied with junta leader Min Aung Hlaing. On May 19th, ZRAEC joined forces with the Myanmar military junta to invade and seize control of Tonzang town. ZRAEC is also reportedly in talks with the Myanmar military junta regarding plans to operate as a border guard force of people's militia in the Didim, Tonzang, and Jika areas of northern Chinland. Myanmar military junta soldier threatens attempts to rape returning displaced woman in Phalam. A married woman who had returned to Phalam town, Chinland, after fleeing the conflict was reportedly threatened at gunpoint and subjected to an attempted rape by a Myanmar military junta soldier. According to local residents, the incident occurred on June 16th when a 40-year-old married woman living along at the time in Baila Ward, Phalam town, was approached inside her home by a Myanmar military junta soldier who threatened her at gunpoint and forced her toward the village cemetery. The soldier reportedly ordered her to remove her clothing at the cemetery, threatening to shoot her if she refused. Meanwhile, her husband returned home and, finding his wife was missing, searched the area with his mother in law. Upon hearing cries for help nearby, they discovered that the soldier had fled after stealing the woman's phone and valuables. The woman and her family are currently unable to remain in their home and have relocated a safer location. After the Myanmar military junta seized control of Phalam town, it launched a so-called rehabilitation campaign calling a non-CDM staff and displaced residents to return. While some displaced residents of Phalam returned under the Phalam Polpi Phalam program, this latest incident demonstrates that Phalam remains unsafe, a local resident said. Myanmar military junta soldiers are currently stationed along Phalam town and the Phalam Hakka road with outposts at Lumpi and Lumpran. Four Myanmar military junta soldiers, including a sergeant and a deputy sergeant from Light Infantry Battalion 101 under Light Infantry Division 77, surrendered to CDF-CDMC and forces stationed at Taingan village along the Kalay-Didim Hakka Road junction in Sian region, Didim Township. The soldiers surrendered on June 17th, bringing weapons and ammunition with them to CDF-CDMC's territory. Those who surrendered were identified as Sergeant Situ Pyo, Deputy Sergeant Yaza, Private Winline, and Private A9, who previously served in military duties in the Mangdo area of Rakhine State. CDF-CDMC stated that it warmly welcomed those who turned their backs on the coup-making Myanmar military junta and awarded them cash rewards. Chinland government sends well wishes on Daw Aung San Suu Kyi's 81st birthday, calls for her release. On the occasion of Daw Aung San Suu Kyi's 81st birthday on June 19th, the Chinland government extended wishes for her health and longevity and called for her immediate release from the Myanmar military junta's unlawful detention. The Chilean government stated that as a leader trusted by all ethnic peoples, Daw Aung San Suu Kyi plays a vital role in achieving domestic peace and building a federal union and remains a key driving force behind hopes for the success of the Spring Revolution. The Chilean government further described her as a visionary mother of the people who, despite decades of unlawful detention under successive military dictatorships and the hardship she has endured, has steadfastly stood with the people and worked tirelessly to guide the nation toward the right path for its future. The Chilean government stated it remains firmly committed to working hand in hand with revolutionary forces to achieve the complete end of military dictatorship, lasting domestic peace, and the emergence of a genuine federal democratic union, goals long championed by Aung San Suu Kyi. On the occasion of her 81st birthday on June 19th, embassies based in Yangon, including the European Union, United Kingdom, Canada, Switzerland, Australia, and France, called for the unconditional release of Aung San Suu Kyi and all other unlawfully detained. It has now been over 5 years since the Myanmar military junta unlawfully detained State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi during the February 1st, 2021 coup, and to this day, her whereabouts remain unknown. Timor Leste president urges a regional shift toward ending the fighting in Myanmar, saying political solutions should not be the first priority. Timor Leste's president says that in addressing the Myanmar conflict, regional countries should prioritize ending the fighting over seeking a political resolution, and that the international approach to the Myanmar crisis should be reconsidered. Malaysia's News Straits Times reported that President Dr. Jose Ramos Horta said that without a ceasefire agreement among Myanmar's conflicting parties as a first step, efforts to restore democracy in Myanmar will remain futile. The Nobel Peace Prize laureate said that the first priority in resolving the Myanmar conflict must be ending the fighting, followed by efforts to normalize humanitarian conditions. After that, he said non governmental organizations, international bodies, and neighboring countries should be invited to assist with humanitarian needs, with political dialogue to follow at a later stage. He noted that Myanmar conflict is one of the most complex in the world, distinguished by the presence of numerous ethnic armed organizations with differing interests and objectives. Ramos Horta also said that military leaders in Naypyidaw should recognize that Myanmar's instability has become a growing burden for the region. That concludes our news for this week. Thank you for listening to VOC and have a great week. Goodbye.